We are honored to welcome our distinguished speaker. She's at the forefront of shaping the future of the last mile transportation for the Mahindra Group. As the Managing Director and CEO of the Mahindra Last Mile Mobility Limited, she brings a wealth of experience in developing and implementing strategic initiatives across various sectors, functions within the Mahindra Group. She holds an MBA from the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business and a degree in computer engineering from NTU Singapore. She has received several prestigious awards, including Women Leader of the Year 2022, Most Powerful Women 2022, the Green Ambassador of the Planet 2023 recognition from the India at G20 Impact Assessment Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to welcome on stage Managing Director and CEO of Mahindra Last Mile Mobility Limited, Ms. Suman Mishra. Can we clap and welcome her, everyone?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be, I guess, talking about electrification, which is my topic of passion and interest. And I'll keep it very pithy and short because there is a lot and I do not know it all. So I'll try to share whatever insights I have gained in this area. I'm the CEO, as she said, of the Last Mile. We do everything under 2 tons, 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers. We are India's largest electric 3-wheeler manufacturer. We have been at it trying to electrify this category for last 2-3 years. As you know, Mahindra Group is one of the pioneers in electrification and has been talking about it for the last 10 years. So that's the business. And I hope this works. Yeah. So we are talking about manufacturing. So I thought let me contextualize it with India's automotive sector. 50% of India's manufacturing GDP comes from the automotive sector. It provides employment, revenues, exports, all of these things. But it's pivotal, right? It's Make in India, it's the heart of manufacturing. Lot of tier 1 auto component suppliers supply into the India's automotive sector. But one of the points that Anil also articulated, sustainability. Are we truly sustainable? Are we able to transition from what is the dominant mode of transportation today, which is the ICE vehicles, into a form of transportation which has lower tailpipe emissions? Because yes, we have 50% of the manufacturing GDP, but we also have challenges if you think about the energy security for India, right? There is a oil import bill. The more cars are made and sold in the ICE domain, the more the energy bill increases. There is a lot of import dependency, largely related to the oil, but also raw materials, and also carbon emissions. So it's about us, it's about our future, it's about the air quality in the cities that we live in, and thus the technology we have always prayed technology offers a breakthrough, so the technology has offered a breakthrough here in the form of EVs. Question is, can it solve the problem? Perhaps, perhaps not, but it's clear that the zero tailpipe emission is better than a lot of tailpipe emissions. There are some other questions, that is, infrastructure, renewable energy. Is it local? Are we still going to be making these vehicles in India? Maybe I'll try to attempt some of the questions is what is driving electrification, focusing on the last mile? What are some of the issues, challenges, and how does perhaps the approach to it differ compared to the ICE? So this is why electrification is important. For someone who operates in the last mile category, we are expecting anything 40–50% electrification in the next 6–7 years. And if you listen to, say, the Sherpa, he projected 100% electrification. If you listen to the Niti Aayog, 70%, 80% electrification. So for someone in the last mile, not only is it, like an environmental imperative, it is survival. And India's electrification journey will start in 2- and 3-wheelers. And the point is that India's solution is not one that can be copied. There are nowhere else in the world where three-wheelers are made or this many two-wheelers are made, maybe a couple of countries here and there. So the solutions that we make have to be designed for India, by Indians. And therefore, it opens a whole array of where do we innovate, how do we scale up. You cannot copy the powertrains for three-wheelers from anywhere in the world today. What is driving it is economics. In the last mile category, today itself, if you bought a vehicle over a period of 3 or 4 years, you save more, the customer saves more than, let's say, he's buying an ICE counterpart. Now, the point of that is this is not the most sophisticated customer who is buying it for sustainability. He's buying it only because the economics works. And that is why I fundamentally believe this is the reason why this category is the fastest to electrify and will continue to do so. Of course, we talked about efficiency, productivity, and one of the biggest drivers of electrification has been the regulatory regime. For obvious reasons, we just talked about fuel dependency. We are talking about, the air quality. So for these reasons, of course, this is important that all of us as an ecosystem come together and scale the electric imperative. This is some math, like if you bought, I'm just saying, if you bought a lithium ion per kilometer, you will already save more than if you bought any other counterpart. And this is without any incentives and subsidies. So this is, I think, from WRI. This sort of analysis, which is in today's context, it is not a future projection. This is why the green line is increasing steadily in India in the entire automotive sector. The green line is, you pretty much see there is some line for which the green line is smaller. So today, without incentives, and with the level of incentives we have, the green line becomes much more economically beneficial. These are the policy imperatives. Somebody mentioned PLI. I think I heard it a couple of times. You mentioned PLI. The one thing and the good thing about policy support is all of them are contingent on domestic value addition. Any of these policies you will get, except the GST, any of these policies you will get only and only if we manufacture to a significant degree in India. Mostly like if you, I'll just give you an example, right? Like FAME, the FAME policy that some of you might know about, the PMP scheme. It has category by category what should be bought from India. So the auto industry has been working hand in hand with the suppliers to encourage them to move to manufacture of electric components because, otherwise, how do we comply with FAME? How do we gain the incentives? And today, the upfront cost of EVs is a bit higher, so we do need the incentives as they stand today. Again, the new PLI, so Mahindra, my business actually, Last Mile Mobility is the first company in India to get approval for the automotive PLI. That is a 25,000 crore subsidy scheme. It is the first time ever. But that required us to prove conclusively more than 50% domestic value addition at the tier 3 level. So if you think about it, each of you, any part that any supplier who is in an ecosystem imports reduces from my percentage. Because at the tier 3, it is so many parts. If someone might be importing a small part, but it reduces our percentages. So now all of us, all the OEMs, those who have gone into the scheme, those who are trying to go into the scheme, are now going to track till the tier 3 level, the level of imports and domestic value addition. So this is actually in a way good for India because this is mandatorily making us focus on domestic manufacturing and not just import and assembly. And that's why I'm quite strongly believing that this will allow us to become export hub in very short period of time as soon as we can scale up within India and meet the demand, at least for the few categories which are very fast electrifying. So a little bit different, right? It's quite different. A lot, I was talking to some folks earlier and they are traditional ICE vehicle suppliers and they do have to change. Some of them don't have a role and many are evolving, but far fewer components and far more specific components, right? If you think about our motors, they are very simple, but they have to be very, very precision oriented. They have to be extremely efficient and they really should not make any noise. Because it's EV, there is no ambient noise of the ICE engine, so you must have very, very precise noise. Because, you know, relatively new to the auto industry, whatever, but never heard that a line will stop because there is noise coming from the vehicle in the automotive manufacturing. But that is true in the EVs. If there is noise, the line will stop because the customer will think, okay, there is some problem. Even though it's not a problem, it's just, you know, it's a motor which was perhaps not as finely ground as someone was telling me. Batteries are expensive, they're complex, they're a huge part of the vehicle, and batteries need thermal management expertise. That is again a completely new area. How do you manage thermal for batteries in the context of India, where today a lot of the cells are being imported? But as soon as the ACCI PLI scheme comes, I'm very hopeful that manufacturers will now make cells which are suitable for Indian conditions. This is a big need. We cannot just import the cells and put them into a vehicle because these cells are not designed for India. That's another whole area where engineering, science work, and synthesis work, all of them have to happen. Of course, lightweighting is a common thing in auto industry, but the supply chain is unique, different, and first time the auto industry realized that when it comes, we may be big in the mechanical parts, but when it comes to semiconductors, we are nothing. So last 2 years has been such a struggle because the percentage semiconductors we buy is nothing compared to your personal electronics. You know, the phone manufacturers, they buy in volume huge number of semiconductors, or your laptop manufacturers, or your white goods manufacturer, everything has a semiconductor now. They buy far more and far higher volume than what the auto industry buys. But now it is critical to our lifeblood, right? We cannot make a EV without semiconductors. So these kind of fascinating and interesting challenges we face, and each of these is a new area of opportunity and a new learning as we become growth. I already spoke to this. And then, of course, in the context of all this, what do we have to do for digitalization? There is a lot that is going on in the group. I just picked a few things by talking to our head of digital manufacturing. And all of this, which you all know, which someone already mentioned, how does a connected supply chain where a lot of semiconductor cell is imported and it can move through our entire system? Efficiency, right? Efficiency. We have all started with small volume plants. Now we have to scale up. How do we do that? Because it was new, it was nascent, volumes were low. So we started small. Now we need larger plants, larger factories. So we're going through the same evolutionary curve that we had concluded, you know, several years ago in the OEM space. Again, on the cells itself, we need large gigawatt factories. It would be really not prudent if we had many small scale, 2, 3, 5 gigawatt factories. If we want to beat with China, we have to put very large scale factories for the cathode and anode assembly. So it's the journey of scale, but as he mentioned already, there is a lot of work that is happening in the future of technology, which we need to keep up while solving all the current problems of electrification. But, the problem for business leaders like me, not a manufacturing leader, but a business leader like me is, if I'm doing something for sustainability, like that is why I believe in this space, because every vehicle sold not only brings income, but also reduces air pollution, noise pollution, to our customers and to the cities we live in. How do we make sure it is a circular chain, that it doesn't stop when the battery degrades? Can we use the battery performance data to adjust the chemistry? Can we figure out the recycling ecosystem? Can we figure out the scrapping ecosystem? Can we make the design such that it's easy to disassemble? I mean, these are things that we have to be acutely aware for electric vehicles because batteries do degrade. You all know your cell phones, after a period of years, it becomes sluggish. Depends on the cell phone make, model, etc. But maybe use it 3, 4, 5 years, and then it becomes slow because the battery capacity has dropped. In fact, the iPhone has a battery indicator to tell you your battery health. It is the truth. The cathode and anode, which is the fuel, they will over a period of time start degrading. So it will come back. The vehicles are going to come back, and we have to find sustainable solutions for that. So that is a very open area for all of us. And then, of course, the last one, you may have heard the lithium was identified or exploratorily identified in Kashmir earlier this year. There's the other part of it, that is there is mining that is involved in creating these precious materials. Can we move away from precious materials? So while we are figuring out the consumer ecosystem, the manufacturing ecosystem, the supply chain of today, the solution of electrification towards sustainability will require us to solve the entire circular economy problem. And that again provides opportunity for everybody to jump in and find solutions, but we also actively work to figure it out. So that's all I had for the presentation. I hope it gave you a brief primer on electric vehicles and all the challenges, opportunities, and questions that are there, where hopefully all of you can play a small part in solving and building the ecosystem of electrification. Thank you very much.
I'll request you to be on stage with us. We'd like to thank and appreciate her. Can we clap for her once again, everyone? To do the honors, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Lokendra Singh, Managing Director, Ross Process. I'd also like to invite on stage Mr. Sumit Doshi, Country Head, UKG India, to join us in doing the felicitation on stage.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Miss Suman Mishra, everyone.